Hi, I'm Mr. Williamson, and this is Human Torso Discussion Video Part 1. We should probably have the diagrams that I gave you in class out, ready to go. Remember, to get credit for the diagrams, you need to not only label them, but define the parts. I'd also have out the terms, the terms that you need for each of the diagrams. Make sure that we cover them all. I'm going to go over them, show you the parts and everything. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in class. Check out something online. Encourage that. But like I said, ask me in class, and we'll be glad to go over it. This is just going to be producing your study guide so you're able to prepare for the test. So here we go. Okay, here we have the torso, as with all of its organs inside of it right now. And we haven't taken anything out. So what we're looking at here, starting with the top, is this right here, this little blue thing right here, is the trachea. And the trachea, the function of the trachea is to, it's the airway from your nose or mouth down to your lungs. And those little bands that you see right here are cartilage. And they're cartilage because you don't want it flexible. You want it stiff. Think about what would happen if you were to try to drink through a straw that's real soft. It would collapse every time you sucked on your soda. It would collapse. So the cartilage actually keeps it open. All right, the next one, this is the lung. And the lung is the site of respiration. It's a lot of blood goes through it, but as every time you breathe and the air goes down the trachea into the lung, oxygen is absorbed by the blood and carbon dioxide is released from the blood. And like I said, site of respiration, exchange of gases right there. This here is the heart. That organ right there, and it pumps the blood. We're going to go more into the heart in part 2 of the video 2. But right now, that's the heart, and it's located just right there. You have here, going down, the liver. And the liver is the site of enzyme production. Enzymes are used for breakdown of toxins and or for digestion. You can see it's actually quite a large organ, but you have the liver there. Right below the liver is the stomach. Stomach stores and sterilizes the food. It allows you to eat a very large meal all at once and not have to graze throughout the day to get your nutrients. You can eat a large meal and get all the nutrients you want. Think of like a lion. It would chase down a zebra and be able to eat as much as its stomach could hold, and that wouldn't have to keep eating to get the nutrients. The one below that, this large thing here, is the large intestine. Oops. Sorry about that. Large intestine. Large intestine is the site of water absorption. When you eat, the food goes first through your small intestine, but then it goes in your large intestine. So the large intestine basically removes the water from the food and then packages up the waste. In other words, it takes out most of the water, producing the fecal material. As it gets into the large intestine, it's a very soupy, very liquidy substance without being gross. When you have diarrhea, your large intestine is not absorbing the water, and that would be kind of what you would see going into the large intestine. But the large intestine usually absorbs the water and produces the fecal material that you usually see when you go to the restroom. And then finally, you have the small intestine. The small intestine is the site of nutrient absorption. In the human body, this is about 18 feet long. It's almost 3 times as long as the normal person is tall. And the reason for that is there's a lot of surface area to absorb the nutrients. You can take the nutrients, and it can take its time going through it. And it takes several hours to get through. When you eat something, it takes 3 or 4 hours for the food to get through the small intestine and into the large intestine where you're actually absorbing the water, which is why, like you're an athlete or something like that, drinking when you're thirsty is too late. It's going to take 3 or 4 hours for that liquid that you're drinking to get down into the large intestine where you can actually start to absorb it. That's why it's important to drink earlier before you start exercising. But the small intestine is where the nutrients are absorbed, and it's got a lot of surface. As a matter of fact, if we were to spread the small intestine out over a flat, all in the inside interior, it would fit a tennis court. An entire tennis court would be the surface area of your small intestine because of all the rough surface area and everything, the rough interior. So just a lot of surface area to absorb the nutrients and allow them to be brought into the bloodstream. So that's the first one. All right. Okay, the next one, we're going to remove the liver, and what you see here is, here, this is the gallbladder. And the gallbladder produces bile. Bile is a substance that's secreted into the small intestine, and it helps with the absorption or the breakdown of fats. Fats do not break down real well. Do you think of like oil and vinegar dressing? The oil coagulates or comes up to the surface. Well, bile allows that to emulsify. It breaks it down into small droplets and keeps it small droplets so the enzymes can work on and break it down. You see it there, and you also see the gallbladder over here. So both those are the gallbladder. These two, obviously, hopefully you understand, is the liver. The liver, again, creates enzymes for digestion, creates enzymes for toxin breakdown. For instance, alcohol is a toxin, and the enzymes would break that toxin down in order to excrete it out the kidneys. These over here are these blood vessels over here are just that. They're blood vessels. They're not something you need to know, but they are major blood vessels in the body, and they're there. But again, on this organ, you need to know the gallbladder, which makes bile and stores bile. It actually stores bile, I guess. And the liver, which produces enzymes and for breakdown and everything. These are gallstones. The gallstones are found by the mineralization of some of the bile. The bile will have minerals in it depending on what you eat in your diet and your metabolism, and it can actually block the bile duct. The bile duct would be this right up here, and it would be secreted. The bile would be stored here, and it would go out here. I probably think down that way. It doesn't really, you don't need to know that, but they can block the bile duct, which means that your gallbladder is filling up with bile and not getting rid of it, which can cause a great deal of pain, apparently. And also, it prevents the breakdown of the fats that you eat. One of the symptoms is that if you have a gallstones, is that your bathroom habits change. What you put in the toilet changes a great deal. So, I thought I'd bring interesting gallstones, trying to make it something you might kind of enjoy seeing or not. Depends. This obviously is the stomach, and the stomach. The purpose of the stomach is to store and sterilize food. This goes up towards the mouth through the esophagus. Okay. And then down here, which you can't see, but it's the back there, that goes to the small intestine. Okay. You have sphincters on each one. This sphincter here, it's a little muscle that closes up, and it keeps the food from going back up your esophagus until you don't feel well, until you throw up. Then it opens up, and your stomach contracts, and you would vomit. But that's your stomach. It stores and sterilizes food. That's the most important thing you need to remember. Stores and sterilizes food. Okay. Here's a picture of the inside of a 65-year-old woman. Her stomach is healthy. That's what the inside of it looks like. I'm not sure which way we're looking on this. But it just shows you the inside of a stomach. The outside kind of looks like that. And a lot of the organs you're going to see in the torso are plastic, obviously, and their color is pretty close, but it's a lot more red because there's a lot of blood in the organs. But that's the inside of what a stomach looks like. Okay, here what we've done is we've taken out the liver, and the liver would fit in this area here, and we've taken out the stomach, which would be right here. And we can see some of the organs that you would see. You would see the trachea. And again, the trachea is the tube that goes down from the nose or mouth down into the lungs where the gas exchange takes place. Hopefully you understand that this is the lungs. And the other lung is over here. Continuing down, this tube right here is the esophagus. The esophagus is the tube that goes from your mouth down to your stomach, and you can see where it would come out here, and we would actually see the stomach in that section right there. And as you're looking at the model, you can kind of take a look and see how it fits together. This line right here is the diaphragm. And it goes all the way around here. It's the muscle that allows you to breathe. You breathe by contracting your diaphragm. You actually, inhaling is an active activity. Your diaphragm contracts. In other words, it comes down and it sinks down this way. And what that does is it enlarges this area here. So all the lungs here get much, much larger. And that's when the air goes in. When you exhale, you're not forcing the air out unless you actually force the air out. You're just relaxing it. It pushes the diaphragm back up, making this area a lot smaller. And that's your exhale. But the diaphragm is the muscle that's responsible for breathing. You have in here the kidney down here. This is one of your kidneys. Okay. My bad. You have the spleen. And the main function of the spleen is to produce red blood cells. There's a lot of other functions, but that one's the big one. It's big on the immune system and also produces red blood cells. This here is the opening to the small intestine, and it's called the duodenum. And I probably spelled that wrong. Terribly sorry about that. Duodenum, it neutralizes the stomach acid. So you would have the stomach come down this way. And all that acid that was in here would be going down there, and that would damage the small intestine. So there's actually a buffer in there that drops the pH or raises the pH from almost 1, a very, very strong acid, down up to 7 point something, much more neutral, closer to being water and being neutral. But that's the duodenum. It's the first part of the small intestine. All right. This organ right here, this looks kind of like here, is the pancreas. The pancreas produces insulin. And the purpose of insulin is to allow the cells to take in glucose. If you don't have insulin, if you have an insulin problem, you're probably diabetic. It's basically a problem with either producing the insulin or your cells don't take it up. There's a couple different types of diabetes. But basically the pancreas produces insulin. You also have in this, for like we had in the first time we looked at the torso, this is the large intestine. Again, site of water absorption and packaging the waste product. And then you have also the small intestine. And that's where the nutrients are absorbed. So there you have the torso there. So this is the inside of somebody's esophagus. Again, you can see the rings. They would go down, and it would go down towards the stomach. But there's the the esophagus, it is, like I said, a long tube. It goes, basically travels kind of like you'd squeeze a toothpaste tube out, and travels down and pushes the food down. So the food is called a bolus. Again, just something to show you there. Here we have the same organs, but one's front, one's back. Obviously, you have the large intestine, site of water absorption, and the small intestine, site of nutrient absorption. On the back here, you have the pancreas. Which is the site of insulin production for absorbing the glucose into the cells. You have, again, the large intestine here. Same thing over here. You have, this is the appendix. I think it's spelled that way. I could be wrong. I don't care. Don't think I'm ever going to ask you that. And this is the rectum or colon. That's where the food, the waste product would go out. And you have, most people don't understand, don't realize this, but you have an ascending colon. Okay, it's the part that goes up. And then you have a transverse colon. It goes across. And then you have a descending colon that goes down. And it's going down towards here. So this is your ascending colon over here. Your transverse colon goes across, and your descending colon goes down. You don't need to know those. Don't worry about it. Just telling you. But you have the parts of that particular organ. So, and then finally, we have all of the abdominal places taken out. And again, you can see, what do we have here? Yep, we have the aorta, which we don't have to worry about right now. We're talking much more about that in the second video. This would be the Vena Cava. Again, talk a lot about that in the second video. The lungs. And obviously the heart. We'll be talking about those a lot more in the second video. But what else do you have here? The spleen. And again, the spleen's function is to produce red blood cells, and it's a real big contributor to the immune system. You can lose parts of your spleen, but if you lose your entire spleen, you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. You have the kidneys. And the kidneys' function is to pull out waste from the blood. And you can see that there's a lot of blood vessels going into the kidneys right here. The red, by the way, is blood that's coming from the heart. Blue is going to the heart. But there's a lot of blood that comes into the kidney. It filters all of the blood, all the waste product out of the blood, and also regulates water. So if you drink too much water, you urinate a lot because it's pulling water out. If you don't drink enough, then it doesn't pull as much water out, and your urine becomes more concentrated. Down here, this little tube right here, this whitish tube, is the ureter. And it goes from the kidney down to the bladder, okay, which is this. This is the bladder. The bladder's function is to store urine. That's when you feel like you have to go to the bathroom. Hey, Mr. Williamson, I have to go to the restroom. This is what's filling up. This is the thing that you're going, oh, I have to go to the bathroom really bad. And that's as it gets more and more full, it stretches and stretches, and your body's or your nervous system says, hey, I gotta really go to the restroom. There's a couple other things here that you might want to take a look at. They're not on the test. Well, they could be. This again is the rectum. That's where the fecal material is stored. The poop is stored in there. And then finally, not finally, but something to be aware of is this tube here, this ureter that goes from the kidney down through here to the bladder. You can actually get kidney stones. You can get, again, a mineral deposit of a crystal almost of the minerals that are in your blood, and they'll sit up here, and when they break off, they can travel down this tube, and if you're unfortunate, it stops right there, which is a real problem because it basically blocks this entire tube that you can't get through, or it'll travel into your bladder, and eventually you're going to have to pass it out, and supposedly that hurts a lot. I've been told by nurses that have come back and talked to me that kidney stones are pretty much like man's birth, because what a woman goes through in birth, a man goes through passing a kidney stone. It's supposed to hurt. Just saying. So, anyways, there's the torso. These are kidney stones, actually, and you can get a pretty good idea how big they are. This is a centimeter. It's like, a little third of an inch. So you can get an idea. Some of these are centimeters. Some of them are quite large. And you can imagine trying to get that out of your body and through your urethra, and that would hurt just a little bit. That concludes the first part of the torso video. Be sure to check out online on bioapes.com for other resources. If you have any questions, make sure you see me. Go back over the video, make sure you covered all the parts, make sure you look at the terms, just make sure I covered them all. And if you feel pretty confident, go on to the second video and take notes off that. Hope you're studying for the test. Talk to you later. Good luck.